In the murky pre-dawn light, thousands of fanatical tribesmen stormed out of craggy rocks and ravines to launch a fierce attack on a slumbering British camp. Standing between victory and defeat, stumbling half asleep out of their tents, were the men of the 1st Gurkha Regiment. That's right, we're back in our old stomping ground at the northwest frontier to cover an uprising that many people wouldn't have heard of. Waziristan in 1894. During the British Raj, Waziristan was a mountainous region within the northwest frontier. It still exists today in modern-day Pakistan. The Pathans from Waziristan, such as the Masoods, were fiercely independent, even for Pathans. They were disliked and even feared by other Pathan tribes in the area, who had a proverb, "Our Waziri will kill you for the sake of your puggaree," or hat. One tribe, known as the Masoods, boasted that they knew no law nor will but their own, and that the armies of kings had never penetrated their strongholds. A British officer, Major Walter James Cummings, wrote of them, "A good rifle to a Masood is his most precious possession, much more so than his wife. His power of endurance is almost unbelievable, for he can cover 40 miles in a day without turning a hair." These independent Waziri tribesmen would be a constant thorn in the side of the British government, and also pose a significant challenge to British forces. In 1894, a boundary dispute led to a survey party being dispatched to Waziristan, escorted by the army. During the pre-dawn period of 3rd of November 1894, approximately 2,000 Masood tribesmen, led by the charismatic preacher Mullah Powindah, launched a surprise attack on the camp of the survey party that was conducting work marking out a disputed border area under the direction of the Border Commission. I've covered Mullah Powindah before in one of my earlier videos. Because it is an earlier video, it's definitely less, shall we say, polished than my more recent ones. But if you're interested in that part of history, it's definitely worth checking out. I'll put a link in an end screen description at the end of this video so you can click on that and check it out if you're interested. In addition, I'll also add a Umbrella campaign link as well to a video I did previously. It's a really interesting campaign where the future Field Marshal Lord Roberts sees some action. The military escort of the party, headed by Brigadier General Turner, were taken by surprise as 3 shots rang out in the darkness. It's unclear if these were fired from pickets as a warning or a signal for the tribesmen to begin their assault. Hundreds of warriors then rushed forward from concealed positions in the surrounding craggy cliff faces and nullahs or ravines. The main thrust of the assault targeted the western face of the camp, where the 1st Gurkhas were stationed. Heavy hand-to-hand fighting ensued as the Gurkhas rushed out of their tents to confront the attack, which was reportedly headed by around 800 fanatical tribesmen who had managed to enter the camp's perimeter. Many of these ambushes and attacks on the northwest frontier were spearheaded by the Ghazis. The Ghazis were traditionally white-robed and fanatically religious. They were the elite shock troops of both the Afghan and tribal areas. With ferocious war cries, incessant beating of tom-tom drums, and deadly in hand-to-hand combat, the Ghazis struck fear into many an opponent. Ghazis were also known for attempting to target and assassinate senior British officers during peacetime. This could be when the officers were marching at the head of their troops in a column or conducting regular patrols. These tribesmen quickly got in amongst the tents of the 1st Gurkhas. It was desperate, hand-to-hand fighting. Kukri versus Khyber knife. Only support from companies of the 20th Punjab Infantry and 3rd Sikhs, who reinforced the Gurkhas, helped them force back the tribesmen at bayonet point. Once driven out the camp, mountain guns fired off star shells which discouraged the tribesmen from attempting any further assault. As they withdrew to the northwest, a pursuit was led by a squadron of the 1st Punjab Cavalry, supported by elements of the 20th Punjabis and 3rd Sikhs, who managed to kill around 50 tribesmen before the pursuit was called off, once it was confirmed that the enemy were no longer a threat and had dispersed. Total British and Indian losses during the attack on the camp amounted to 2 British officers, 2 Indian officers and 19 men killed, along with a total of 43 soldiers wounded. Amongst the hospital and stores, another 43 camp followers were also killed, along with over 100 baggage animals killed or injured. A significant amount of cash and, more significantly, rifles were also stolen from the campsite. 8 soldiers of the 1st Gurkhas were awarded the Indian Order of Merit 3rd Class for defending the camp with valour. In response to this perceived outrage and affront to the prestige of the Raj, the British government organised a punitive expedition against the Masood tribe in Waziristan, consisting of 3 brigades. This was known as the Waziristan Field Force, which was commanded by veteran officer Lieutenant General Sir William Lockhart. Masood fighters were first offered terms which included the expulsion of Mullah Powindah from Waziristan until boundary marking was complete, the return of loot stolen from the attack on the Waha camp, and the supply of hostages, which were used as insurance against future bad behaviour. However, the Waziris rejected these terms. On the 16th of December 1894, the Waziristan Field Force began operations, targeting Mullah Powindah's village in Morabit, which was destroyed with little opposition, and which culminated in all 3 brigades combining to attack the Mullah himself, who was thought to be located with his followers in the area of Pirgal. After failing to successfully locate the Mullah and burning villages along the way, surrender terms were finally negotiated between General Lockhart and the Masoods after a jirga or assembly of leaders in Kundiwam. The operation was completed by the end of March 1895, and the Waziristan Field Force withdrew, leaving a significant footprint of soldiers and improved military infrastructure such as armed posts, roads and telegraph lines in the locality. Ultimately, this campaign only sowed the seeds of further resentment amongst the tribes of the northwest frontier, which reached boiling point in 1897 with a general uprising against British rule. Check out my Churchill video for that one. The Waziri Pathan tribes of Waziristan, in particular the Masoods, formed some of the most consistent and fearsome opponents of the British, all the way until independence in 1947. There were more British campaigns organised against the Waziri people than against any other tribe in the entire British Empire. You will see many Waziristan clasps in the India General Service medals, all the way from the 54 which we're covering now to the 95 and the 20th century medals. I've taken much of the information for this video from my book Clasps of Courage, the gripping story of the India General Service Medal 1854. If you're interested in this period of history, it's definitely worth a read. I delve into many largely unknown conflicts and campaigns in this era, especially associated with this medal. So if you like what I do, please consider buying the book. It really does help the channel. Thanks. Waziristan would be a constant headache for British forces right up until 1947. I shall leave you with my favourite Pathan proverb, which I think very eloquently sums up this period of history and the constant fighting between the Waziris, the Pathans and the British. A Pathan's enmity smoulders like a dung fire. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some value from this, and I'll see you in the next one.